very first thing that we all tend to see is a woman huddled, probably holding her children, and a kind of worried look on her face. And the thing that troubles me about that image, it touches us all. We all try to identify with that woman in that sort of crisis and think how awful that is. But there's a dangerous aspect to that, the power of that image, because what we also see is a woman who's passive, who's voiceless, who's a victim. And I think of all the things that we need to change in the way humanitarian aid is working, we need to make her an agent of change rather than have this kind of strange polarization where the women are the victims and the men are the ones taking action. We see good policy, but we don't necessarily see that translate into action on the ground. What we haven't done yet is get donors to really monitor and see the effects of what they try to do on the ground. And we need to do that a lot better, which means helping the frontline staff to understand what it is they should be looking for. And that's where I think we have still a lot more training and awareness raising to do, because I think people are sort of wondering, well, why didn't I get my funding application through? But they're not really understanding that it's more than just a little bit of data about gender. This is about really trying to listen to what the needs of women are. And if we see that there are problems, the consequences are quite frightening. You know, you suddenly look at the feedback that we're getting now about women saying, well, there were no locks on the toilets, there were no lights for the latrines. We didn't feel safe making use of toilets at night. We didn't. We had no cultural input into the way in which hygiene products were supplied to us. I think what I would say is we need to be much better at monitoring, much better at training, and by training I mean helping frontline agencies to understand what they need to do to be gender sensitive. So not just what they need to do to fill in a funding application, but what in practice they need to do to actually make sure that what they're doing really helps women and children. And we've got to be much, much clearer about helping people to listen to women on the ground. It's not that women don't know what they need, it's that women, for some reason, are not being able to have their voice heard in the decision-making that affects them. And that's where so much more action needs to take place. The really ironic thing is if we got it right for women, we would be able to say we're getting it right for everybody, because actually the issue is about how we effectively get those in most need to be participants and agents in this chain of humanitarian aid. We have got to crack the passivity of the beneficiary.